Hey, my wonderful friends. Welcome back. Merry belated Christmas. Merry belated Bridgerton dropped on Netflix yesterday. How did you feel about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? This video is actually not going to be a complete recap. What I thought I would do is, it's going to be a lot of work, but basically I watched all of the series yesterday. So I'm actually gonna go back through and rewatch the entire series one more time, and I'm gonna do an episode by episode recap, review, talk about it, that sort of thing. But I wanted to come first and just kind of give my own basic views of how I felt about the season as a whole. I think what we're gonna do is kind of break it down by character. It's each character's arc, how I felt about where they went with the characters, and then give overall viewpoints and things I liked, didn't like, that sort of thing. Overall, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but I was a little worried that I wasn't going to enjoy the series. I was a little worried that I was going to be like, Instead, guys, it was so soapy and so dramatic, and that is what I love from Shondaland shows, right? And then I also love all of the romance and all of the stuff that happens in a romance novel. So putting those two together, it just worked for me. Now, this may not work for everybody, and be real. A few of the people who have commented on some of my other videos have mentioned that they've been fans of Bridgerton for a long time. So if you've been a fan of the books for 20 years, because the first book came out in 2000, and then they straight up change so much, because guys, they change a lot. The story, I feel has most of the bone. If the story is a skeleton, they maybe removed the tibia. They removed the whole rib cage.
Remove the pieces and collect your fee, but don't touch the sides.
I mean, there's stuff if some of the barest bones are there, but they change quite a bit about the storyline. The Featheringtons are so drastically different. It's not even the same family. There's stuff about Daphne that they've changed. So I'm not quite sure how I would feel if I was a person who had been waiting for a very specific story for so long. Since that's not me, I loved it. I did not mind that they changed some stuff. Julia Quinn is an executive producer on this. She knows what they changed. She is seemingly okay with what they changed. So I had no problem with it, because they kind of still gave me what I wanted. They actually gave me even more of what I wanted, which was the romance, which I will talk about later when I get to breaking down the storyline. But I was actually overall incredibly happy with it. I have criticisms, but overall, very, very happy. You can see I'm at home. Do you see this? That's a headshot of me from 2012 that my family keeps on the piano. Hire me. So let's just start with Simon, all right? Duke of Hastings. I loved him. It's so weird, because I read the books, and I think I said in my last video, which was about ranking all of the men of the series, I don't particularly like Simon. He doesn't do anything for me. Rege-Jean Paul is truly one of the most gorgeous men I've ever seen. I saw someone online say they wanted him to twist them up into a pretzel. Girl. He's so good looking that when my brother walked across the room, he said, "That man's gorgeous." And then he sat down and he was just like, "That's not quite fair," to which I completely agree. And then over the course of the series, all of us would just watch and be like, but how is he real? But how is he real? So yes, I think I'm probably a little biased because the man is gorgeous. But other than that, I think he humanized Simon in a way that Simon wasn't quite humanized for me in the book. I love how much Simon loved Daphne. Simon loved Daphne. When he has that speech, when he has that speech, when they go visit the Queen, and he has that speech where he's talking about how initially he didn't have these feelings for Daphne, but then they became friends, and he can't stop thinking about her. Somebody write that down, okay? And that should be your marriage vows. Truly amazing. And then their wedding night, when Simon says, "Daphne," when he's talking about her, him burning for her. Oh, you guys. The wedding night scene is worth the price of admission alone. It is worth everything. It is all I've ever wanted. If you guys have ever been like, I don't know if romance novels are for me, if you watch that scene and you burned, that's what we love. That's what we read. That's why we read these books. They make us feel so much, and it's so melodramatic and so big, and these emotions are coming out of people. I loved Simon in this. I really did. Now, yes, there was still some stupid Simon stuff. He still doesn't tell Daphne the truth, and, you know, he still is being very stubborn, and he's still letting his father rule his life, even though his father is dead, but that's just part of the story. But I thought overall, I really enjoyed Simon. I will also say overall, I feel like Simon got changed the least. Do you guys agree with that? Would you guys agree with, like, I feel like overall, in terms of pure character, Simon got changed the least in terms of, like, his arc. Like, he came from his mom dies in childbirth, his dad is a bad person, he's trying to get revenge on his dad, he falls for Daphne, he learns that he shouldn't have lied to Daphne, and he stays in love with Daphne. His overarching arc, I think, is more consistent than anyone else's in the show, and they made him an even more vulnerable person than I think he is in the books, so that was only a plus. So I think overall, major pluses for Simon. Okay, we're gonna move on to the Bridgerton family. There were some changes here. Yeah. We're gonna start with Daphne because she is our heroine. Overall, great. Overall, I'm super happy with the changes they made with Daphne. There's some things that I didn't like in the books, Daphne is on her second or third season, she's not a debutante, okay? So for her, it's a little bit different, her desperation, right? In the TV show, they made her a debutante, right? She's just entering society. She's entering into her first season. And the queen, she goes to visit the queen. That's a difference from the books. And the queen basically calls her out and says, like, she is the incomparable of the season, right? So the queen basically says very specifically, like, Daphne's the one to watch. So Daphne becomes the diamond of the season. Everyone wants to talk to her. All the men want to be with her. That is drastically different from the books, in which, you know, in the books, Daphne has been out for 2 or 3 seasons. There's nothing about, the queen is not in these books, and none of the men really want to get with Daphne. So that was different. I don't know if that was a plus or minus. I think, I'm not sure why they made those changes, and honestly, I don't know if it's a plus or minus. It's kind of a net neutral for me. But you know what? It probably, rather than it being a net neutral, I'm gonna say it's a plus. In the books, we all know that I hate the Duke and we all know that Daphne in the books actually starts out at a net positive and ends up in hell. Like, she ends up below the ground. So in this, because she starts off as a debutante, she gets stronger. It allows her to get stronger over the course of the season. She goes from being this girl who kind of is like, this is what she thinks she wants, and then she gets with Simon, and then she kind of grows, and she wants to help people. Like, she wants to help Marina. She wants to, you know, she has that moment where she tells her mom off. In the books, almost no one ever said anything mean to Lady Violet. They were all very polite. I loved the scene where Daphne says, Mom, you didn't tell me what marriage would be. You basically just let me go out into the world completely uneducated. If you had just told me what was going to be happening in the marriage bed, if you just told me what marriage was really like, all of this wouldn't be happening. I have needed someone to say that to Lady Violet because Lady Violet truly should have told her daughter. She should have given her the real, like, sex talk, and she didn't. And as a result, Daphne is so completely out of her depth with what's happening between her and Simon. So I actually loved that scene because I did, this whole time in my head, I've just been like, I love Lady Violet. She's one of my favorite characters, but she did let Daphne down in that way. And I really appreciated that scene, and that was strength. And Daphne in the book doesn't get to do that. And so I really appreciated that we got to see Daphne in the show be this stronger woman than we ever got to see her be in the books. So it is kind of weird to see her be so beautiful. And I talked about that in one of my reviews, how I was like, this Daphne is too pretty. Like, she's much prettier than book Daphne, but they've changed the character. So, now I get it. Now I see, now I understand kind of why they decided to make that choice, right? There's still the moment where Daphne, upon learning that Simon is taking advantage of the fact that she does not understand what sex is and how babies are made, she still does do some stuff that maybe isn't as rapey as it is in the books, but Simon does ask her to wait and she doesn't. And that still is a little, they changed that from the books. In the books, if you guys don't know, something similar happens where Daphne gets on top of Simon, but in the book, Simon actually does try to push her away and she won't get off of him. It's far more rapey in the books. So they tried to change it here to varying degrees. What did you guys think? What did you guys think? Did you guys think it worked a little bit better than the books? Because I wasn't as mad at Daphne with the TV show. Obviously, Julia Quinn was like, yo, we gonna change some stuff. So I don't know. Overall, I thought that was a pretty good change, but please let me know your thoughts about that specific scene. If you know what scene I'm talking about and you've read the books, let me know, did you think that was a better way of handling the whole like betrayal between Daphne and Simon? Let's go to my absolute favorite character. She had already been probably my third favorite heroine, but watching the TV show, my favorite character, Eloise. Oh my God. Claudia Jessie was phenomenal. As Eloise, I'm mind blown. First off, I may also be a little like biased towards her because does she not look just like Carey Mulligan? She looks very close to Carey Mulligan when she was playing Kitty Bennett in Pride and Prejudice 2005. I do want to talk about also, this whole thing reminded me a lot of Pride and Prejudice 2005. There's another really great scene where Daphne is dancing with the Prince Frederick, and it reminded me a lot of when Lizzie Bennet was dancing with Mr. Collins in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. Okay, that was an aside, I'm sorry, but I could talk about Pride and Prejudice 2005 all day. Anyways, Claudia Jessie as Eloise, probably top 3 actors in the show. The very first book I ever read was book number 5, To Sir Philip with Love. She is one of my favorite people in the entire book series. But watching her struggle so hard with what was expected of her, watching her struggle with what people want her to do and her not wanting to do it, and her talking to her family like, Benedict, you want something in life, go after it. You're a man, you can do it. Mom, stop telling me what I have to do. Daphne, don't you want more with your life than being a wife? Why can't anyone see that there's more to life than just being a wife? And she talks about wanting to go to university and just having all of these shackles on her as a result of being a woman. Guys, this is gonna completely change, I think, her storyline. In the books, Eloise is not necessarily like, I didn't ever notice that she was struggling against the shackles maybe of being a woman, maybe somewhat, but she definitely struggled with not necessarily wanting to get married and having the same life as everybody else. So I cannot wait to see what she's gonna do. If they continue in the same way with the books, again, there are spoilers in this video, but if they continue in the same way, she's gonna end up with Philip Crane, and she's gonna end up being a stepmother to Philip Crane's kids, who in the new TV show are not his kids. So anyways, I can't wait to see. God, I hope the show doesn't get canceled because she's probably got the storyline I'm the most excited about. They have changed her in ways that I didn't even expect, and I am excited and I can't wait to see. So if you guys loved Eloise before, I think you will love her even more now. And I saw a bunch of people online talking about like Eloise being like an absolute breakout of the TV show. She was phenomenal. Claudia Jessie played the hell out of this character. So 2 thumbs up, excellent job. Let's go to Anthony now. As you guys all know, Anthony is my favorite male character. For those of you who have only watched the TV show, you probably are like, Miata, what?
You're a sick motherfucker.
Book Anthony, TV show Anthony, is the most drastic difference of almost any character in this TV show. I'm gonna talk about 2 different things with Anthony. 1, I saw a bunch of people on the Reddit threads for this show and different comment sections for this show talk about Anthony being deeply in love with Sienna. This is a TV show invention. If he did have an affair with an opera singer, which he did have an affair with an opera singer in his own book, but he was mostly done with her by his own book, right? And it was not a deep, overwhelming love. This Anthony is in love with Sienna, in love with her. Hard for me to watch Anthony be in love with someone who wasn't Kate. I will be very honest. I think there are gonna be a lot of people who are upset about that. I think the show set that up so that by the time we get to Anthony's story, hopefully in season 2, we have an Anthony who's done with love and Kate's gonna come in and rock his world. I think that their love story is gonna be even stronger because he's gonna be falling in love with her even more so. I'm gonna accept it. I'm gonna accept that my boy, Anthony, who they call in the show Anthony. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep saying Anthony because I'm American. I'm not gonna say Anthony, but I'm gonna accept that he fell for a woman that was not Kate, because it's gonna make him fall for Kate even harder when we get to his own story, which hopefully will be season 2. The other thing that they drastically changed about Anthony is Anthony in the books was always responsible to a fault. He loved his family so much. So yes, he's a little over domineering, he's a little over controlling, but he's been head of the house for the past 12 years. So in the TV show, watching this man who's close to 30, I think Anthony in the books, God, I think he's like 28, 29, watching him struggle with being in charge of being a Viscount and in charge of his family. In the books, that's not the case, because again, he's been in charge of his family for 12 years. So he kind of sowed his wild oats. So in the book, yes, he does have affairs with women, but he doesn't let it consume his life. He knows that his family is his biggest responsibility. In the TV show, not so much. He's late to events, you know, he's always trying to get with Sienna. So they did change that. I understand why. They want to have him grow, right? So in the book, Anthony, the only thing that really grows about Anthony, the only other thing that grows about Anthony is the fact that he realizes how important love is. That is a big part of his character journey in the books. In the TV show, Anthony is going to grow from being kind of irresponsible to a more responsible, loving, caring brother who also learns how powerful love can be. And so we'll see. We'll see what they do with him in season 2. I'm going to hold out hope. I thought they did a really good job with changing Daphne and Simon for the better. And so I'm hopeful that they will do an amazing job with Anthony as well. Benedict. You guys know I'm meh about Benedict. I think they tried really hard to be like, no, Benedict is interesting. Look, he likes art. Oh, look, Benedict's really interesting. He's having an affair with a sewer. Look, and Benedict's really interesting. He's smoking with Eloise. I thought they did an excellent job with Benedict's casting, because I said this before in my last review. Benedict is basically Prince Charming. His story in the books is Cinderella. He meets a woman who is the Cinderella character, and he is the prince. And I think the man they cast as Benedict looks like a prince. He's absolutely gorgeous. So I think they knew that his character needed to look like a prince, probably the least interesting of all of the brothers to me. And there's not much I have to say. So they're trying to make his character a little bit more interesting than he was in the books, which I do appreciate. I think one of the things I said in my last video about the men of Bridgerton is that we never get a sense of who Benedict is in the books, but chasing after Sophie the whole time. So they are trying to bring a life to him. And I think in season 2, we'll see even more of him struggling with being a second son and really wanting to also do art. Yay! I'm glad that we're trying to do something with Benedict. I just don't have much to say about Benedict because he doesn't do anything for me. You know what I mean? I don't care. So we just gonna move on. For all of you guys that love Benedict, I think you guys would be very excited about what the show does with him. Let's talk about Lady Violet. They changed her quite a bit. Now, Lady Violet in the books is a woman who does no wrong. She's literally perfect, except for the part where she doesn't tell Daphne about what happens in the marriage bed and then ruins Daphne's whole marriage. So I don't know. I was fine. I don't know. It was hard because I guess it's not fair to make a mother be so perfect. It doesn't make her a real person, but different than she is in the books. Overall, though, she kind of serves the same purpose, just kind of a guide for her children. So I wonder if the showrunners decided to pull back a little bit on the fact that she loves to matchmake. In the book, she's doing nothing but being a perfect mom and matchmaking. She's like, I love you children, you can do no wrong. And then she's also like, you need to get married tomorrow. So I wonder if they were like, let's make her a human being, shall we? So they humanized her. I am on the fence about how I feel about her. That's not her fault. I should just be like, yes, of course, she's not a perfect human being. Like, no one's perfect. But I really loved who she was in the books. And so I'm a little on the fence about how I felt about who she was on the television show. But, you know, we'll see. I don't think we need to talk about Hyacinth, Gregory, or Francesca. Hyacinth and Gregory are children, and Francesca, much like in the books, barely shows up. So we can just move on from them. Let's talk about Colin, because Colin is going to segue into the Featheringtons. If you're a Colin lover, which I do love Colin, I'd be very interested to know how you felt about what they did with Colin's storyline. I was not happy about it. Oh, it has something to do with the Marina storyline, which I'm going to get into because I'm not sure I was happy with that either. I was pretty unfair, I think, when I did my first teaser trailer, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this guy playing Colin. No, I think he did a great job. I think Luke Newton did a good job with what he was given. This is not Book Colin. I think that Book Colin is always, he's young, but he's already got this charming way about him. He's great with ladies. Women love him because he's always just like I said, he's just charming. This was a young, not very charming Colin. I know at one point they said, Colin, you're great with the ladies. We never saw that once. He feels a little whiny to me. He felt young to me. And I guess that's the point. He is young. He just left Eton, I guess, and he hasn't quite sown his wild oats. I feel like Book Colin had sown some wild oats by this time. This guy had not. So he met a woman and instantly fell in love with her. That did not feel like Book Colin at all. Just didn't quite feel what I wanted to feel from him. And that's not the actor's fault. That is purely, they gave me a storyline that I wasn't super happy with. So major spoilers for the series. And this is going to help me segue into the Featheringtons. But basically, there's a character, her name is Marina, and she's played by Ruby Barker, who I think did a phenomenal job. I think she did a phenomenal job. Marina in the books, this is something I had been confused about, and I had a bunch of different commenters, thank you guys so much, let me know that the Marina of the books who shows up in book 5 was the same Marina who was in this television show. Now, there are massive differences. Marina in the books is a character that dies before the book 5 even starts. She is a cousin of the Bridgertons. She is one of Eloise's cousins. She has had depression her entire life. She is engaged to George Crane, that is true, but George dies in the war and she ends up married to Philip Crane. She is not pregnant. She and Philip do conceive and they have twins. She, I believe, gets postpartum, which makes her depression even worse. And after, I believe, 9 years, she ends up killing herself. She tries to drown herself in a lake. Philip rescues her, and then she ends up dying of pneumonia a few days later. You guys can tell that that's drastically different than what we're seeing on the TV show, which is fine, but instead they made Marina a Featherington, a cousin who comes into town, who is pregnant, who then at first is holding out for George to come back, but when he doesn't, decides to try to trap a man into marriage so that she will have a father for her child, and the man that she decides to try to entrap is Colin. I just think they did a disservice to both Colin and Marina, truly. What bothered me is Colin never even really got to show up. I didn't quite count it, and I'll count it when I go back through the series, but like he wasn't even in like every episode. And when he would show up, it was only specifically to be like, I'm in love. I didn't think that was fair. He didn't get to have a full life. You know what I mean? Like I got to see Eloise grow. I got to see Benedict grow. I got to see Anthony grow. I got to see Daphne grow. And then there was Colin, who every time he came in would be like, there's nothing but love. Just wanna love. I'm in love. This was an even more disservice, I think, to Marina's character. Again, like I said, I thought Ruby Barker, top 3 actors for me in the show. There was such a beautiful strength to Marina, a solemnity to her, like just a fully like embodied character who knew who she was. I was always just very struck by like her self-assuredness and her knowing who she was and what she would stand for and what she wouldn't stand for, and her not allowing the Featheringtons to ever bully her into anything.
Any bitch think they gonna fucking play with me? I'm gonna ask that bitch for that.
That being said, one of my biggest concerns, and I mentioned this in my second video, which was about the full trailer, was that you hired a black actress to have kind of a new role in the show, a new role in this series. And you hired her to be an out-of-wedlock mother who was trying to trap men into marriage to take care of her unborn child and or children. I don't care, just look at the optics. I'm sorry, like, look at the optics. Now, Ruby Barker plays her with such dignity, and it is beautiful to watch. But what's happening? What's happening? The thing about it is that storyline just didn't even need to happen at all. It didn't need to happen. I don't know that it added anything to the storyline. I think it detracted from Colin, and then it didn't add anything to the Featheringtons. Who was that for? Who was that for? Ruby is so good. And I think that there could have been an interesting Marina character. I don't know who the whole having a pregnant out of wedlock cousin come in, I don't know what it did for anyone. I don't think it did anything for anyone. The only thing it did was detract from the story. that I was watching. And it made me sad for her because if you guys watch, like, Marina got loss after loss after loss after loss. In fact, if you've watched the whole series, this is major spoilers, but Marina's storyline mixed with Penelope's storyline made me hate Penelope, who's one of my favorite characters. So now you've made me hate Colin, you've made me hate Marina, and you've made me hate Penelope, just by adding this one storyline that I think was completely unnecessary. We're gonna move on from Marina, which I just didn't think was necessary. And I, again, want to say that has nothing to do with Ruby Barker, who played her so amazingly. I could not have asked for anyone better to have played that character. I thought she was beautiful and strong and dignified and real. Very, very, very real. That character is nothing but tragic. And why add a black, and I said this, why add a black person if we're gonna have the most tragic storyline in the entire series? Why? Let us be happy. Let us be happy for once. Why add someone if all you're gonna do is make it so that we have an incredibly dramatic, awful storyline? And I'm worried because, as I've said before, Marina tries to kill herself. Y'all best change some stuff. Y'all best change some stuff, because if my girl Ruby is on this show to have nothing but sorrow and then kill herself in a few seasons, fight. You know what I mean? Like, let's take some stuff out right now. Let's go into Penelope. Penelope is one of all of our favorite characters. Spoiler alert, gonna say a spoiler, Penelope and Colin eventually get together. I guess you guys can probably tell that from all of the like longing glances Penelope gives. She loves Colin. Books, she loves Colin for 12 years before her and Colin get together. It's this long time coming kind of like romance. Sorry, I should have mentioned this before. Again, major spoilers. She's Lady Whistledown. I knew this going in because I've read the entire series. Everyone else finds out in the very last episode. It was so awful for me when she outs Marina as being pregnant. She destroys Marina's life, makes it so Colin doesn't even want to be in England, and ruins her own family. It is such a change from how I felt. Like, it made me in that instant be like, oh, Penelope's a bad person. That's something a bad person would do. She kept warning her, but she wasn't like, yo, if you do this, I will tell someone and ruin your life. So instead, she ruined the life of her entire family. She ruined Marina's life, and she embarrassed Colin. She made the relationship between the two families strained. She made it so her family couldn't even go out in public. It was so vindictive. And I think she's very young. She's supposed to be like 17. She's a little bit too young to be entering society. So it is something I think a 17-year-old would probably do and not think about the repercussions. But it was such a departure. And again, I think the entire Marina storyline did a disservice to those three characters in particular. I think that all three of them deserved better than what we got. The rest of the Featheringtons. Guys, I like Mrs. Featherington. First off, that lady, let me just look this lady's name up. Polly Walker, who plays Portia Featherington, body yada 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 yada. Body yada 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 yada. Body yada. I was blown away by her. I couldn't stop staring. Every dress she wore, they kept being like, they have bad taste. That woman is so stacked, and her corset was so perfect. I didn't care. I did not care. I was like, she looks good. She loved that she played an overprotective woman. She made mistakes, but I truly loved this. I knew I would. I really liked her even from the trailers, and I loved Portia getting to be the kind of person that she would be. She needs to get her daughters married, and she's vicious about it because, unlike Lady Violet, Portia's daughters are not necessarily pretty. They're not the perfect women of the ton. You know what I mean? They're not going to be the ones men want. She's got to be a viper, and she is a viper. Wasn't always good about the way she handled Marina, but she was trying. She actually was trying. Heart breaks. At the end of the series, basically what happens, you guys, Lord Featherington is not in the books at all. We don't know if he's dead or what. I don't know where the man is. But in this series, he is a gambler, and he ends up losing the family's fortune, and he ends up being killed at the end of the show because he basically cheats in a wrestling match, and he cheats the bookies, and I think they kill him at the end of the show, and she's left with nothing. And she is so strong and so human, and I don't know how she's going to handle the next season. Again, this did not happen in the books. The Featheringtons never lost their fortune like that in the books. So I'm interested in seeing what they do with them. I feel very bad for them because the whole season I felt like the Featheringtons, including Marina, were just getting punched like kind of left and right. There was no respite for them. I never saw Felicity, who was their younger sister. I don't even know if she's going to end up in the TV show, or if maybe she's in the nursery or still in the country with another, relative. I don't have much to say about Prudence and Philippa, except that I am really glad that I think it's Philippa that gets with Mr. Finch. I love them getting with other stupid people because they're both really stupid. I really did like Portia quite a bit. And I know that I'm probably not supposed to like her. She's probably the villain, but I thought she was very realistic in being a mama who wanted the best for her children. So yeah, overall, net positive. Overall, really liked it. I had a criticism that I said in my second trailer review, that one of my concerns is I did not see any speaking roles for dark-skinned Black women. It's even worse. I actually, after I finished episode 5, was so overcome with being upset that I had to take a break. When you watch the trailer, most of the Black women, almost all of the Black women with speaking roles, which would be the Queen, Marina, and Lady Danbury, for the most part, are lighter skinned Black women. Lady Danbury is probably medium toned, right? But none of them are dark skinned like me. In the TV show, they add more Black women who are also light skinned Black women. Genevieve Delacroix, who is a modiste, and Will, the boxer, his wife, are also light skinned Black women. This show has so fully decided to say that the only people worth having lines who are Black are light-skinned Black women. They leaned heavy into it. It was worse than what I actually thought it was gonna be. And I had to just take a little break because as a dark-skinned actress, I already feel hopeless most of the times in my career. And to watch a show so fully say, yeah, you should quit, was hard. There were 2 dark-skinned Black women who did have lines. I think one said, "Thank you, my lord." Actually get to the line when I do the actual, go back through, I'll write it down. And then I think the other one said, "Congratulations, my lord, it's a boy." Yeah, those were it. Those were the 2. I don't know what Netflix has against dark-skinned Black women. I don't know what the entertainment industry has against dark-skinned Black women. We are here. We are beautiful. We are amazing actresses. And I know that there are amazing dark-skinned actresses in England because my favorite actresses, who are in my generation, happen to be dark-skinned. Wunmi Masoka is absolutely fantastic. Susan Wokoma is absolutely fantastic. Michaela Cole is brilliant. Kirby Howell-Baptiste is among my favorite these are amazing actresses. And you cannot tell me, oh, I think maybe the best person got the part. What's happening is some internal biases are happening. So maybe you think, oh yeah, there's just something about that one actress who fit the part. That's because you think femininity should look a certain way and dark-skinned women don't fit your idea of what dainty femininity looks like. We don't look like the woman that a man would want to rescue to you. So you don't cast us in roles where we're desirable. You cast us in roles where we have no sexuality or too much sexuality. You cast us in roles where we take care of you, but we don't get taken care of. Even though I loved this show, that was really hard for me. That's my biggest criticism of the show as a whole, and it is something that they have to rectify. I have a feeling that they will rectify it with either Kate or with Sophie, but that was really hard for me to see because I knew it was going to happen and it still punched me in the face. With how much it happened. They couldn't even make us Genevieve. They couldn't even make Will, who is a dark-skinned man, have a dark-skinned wife. You're just telling us that we're not what you want. And that sucks. Oh, okay guys, I'm gonna actually run to the other room. I'm gonna put on a dress. My camera's about to go out. So I'm gonna go run to the other room, rewatch the TV show, review all of the stuff, get back to you guys. I love you guys so much. I hope you love the show. Tell me all of your thoughts below. Remember to subscribe and I'll see you later.